Let's talk about the difference between black self-empowerment versus black power. Now, let me put it in context, because black power is something that we want collectively. We've been talking about black power since the 60s, and it's usually associated with throwing up the black power fist. We see a lot of it with Stokely Carmichael or Kwame Ture, and also the Black Panther Party. The Black Power movement has been Black people's collective struggle for freedom, liberation, and justice for Black people. It's a collective movement that has been going on for years. Many faces, many leaders, many representations, even up until this day. Now, Black self-empowerment has been the struggle or the desire for individuals to obtain a certain level of personal power that are Black: economic power, spiritual power, physical power. And there's a lot of literature, DVDs, information, and a lot of speakers with the goal and focus to help individuals attain a greater sense of empowerment in their lives, to actualize empowerment in their lives. Now, both of these things have been going on simultaneously. There are some people that are part of the Black Power movement that were not necessarily advocates of the Black self-empowerment movement. That means people that were just totally political. The Black Lives Matter movement has a lot of implications of Black power in it. By saying Black Lives Matter, us trying to come into power, us becoming a priority, the significance of our lives mattering, and us gaining political power or influence to affect society in a way where we can get the justice that we feel like we deserve. So the theme of Black Power also kind of ties into the Black Lives Matter movement, as well as other movements that have been going on recently. Now, the Black self-empowerment movement has come with a whole nother spirit, where the Black individual simply wants to empower themselves. And we got a lot of teachers who have helped with this empowerment: Bobby Hemmett, Phil Valentine. The list go on about Black self-empowerment, teaching you the power of your mind, the power of your consciousness, metaphysics, New Age, diet, and even some economic ideas, Claude Anderson and etc. Boyce Watkins. Economic empowerment, self-empowerment. But there are two different journeys that may intertwine. There's people a part of the self-empowerment movement that don't really deal with the Black Power movement. They don't necessarily subscribe to the political aspirations or subscribing to the idea that through the unity of the masses of Black people that we can attain power in a society or create social change. They don't necessarily subscribe to that idea. It's all about self, themselves, their family, their understanding, their ideas, their growth, their spirituality, and their development. It's very personal for them. So they might not be involved politically or really connect themselves to the overall struggle of Black people for liberation and independence and justice. They may not subscribe to that. So you got both sides. You got the Black Power people that don't subscribe to Black self-empowerment, and Black self-empowerment people that don't necessarily subscribe to Black Power. And you got some that get them confused, where they really are about Black Power, but they have went too far to the extreme with Black self-empowerment, to the point that it makes them ineffective when it comes to Black Power. Because Black self-empowerment is more individual, and Black Power is something that we want to gain as an entirety, as a race, as a people. It's a nationalistic desire. It's a desire that is Pan-African fundamentally. Both of these groups exist. Now, the Black self-empowerment group, I think, is needed, because the Black supremacists tend to be both. We tend to be about the Black Power as a collective and also Black self-empowerment. We're the bridge between the different groups. Sometimes the Black self-empowerment movement are disconnected to the overall struggle of Black people. And they think by totally changing their situation and condition as a person, and that people have that mentality that will ultimately affect and change the condition of us as a race. Usually this is the thinking of your 100% fundamental Black self-empowerment person, that they have to worry about unity and working with the whole or seeing themselves as it relates to Black people as a nation. But just work on my stuff and study and get as deep as I can and get most understanding as I can and raise my children and my own family and do for my own self, and then that's going to be my contribution to the whole. That's your Black self-empowerment group. A lot of your Black power people, people that have ended up political prisoners and have made some sacrifices in their own journey, just specifically to help for the liberation of the masses of Black people. So by being about their own self-empowerment, they was willing to make some very serious sacrifices, even their own freedom, their own personal freedom. Versus the quest for personal freedom, which goes over to the Black self-empowerment part, they made some serious sacrifices for the race. A lot of them political prisoners, some of them not even in this country, because they knew they were going to be the ones to do everything they can to make whatever move they can to affect the condition of the whole. That's on your Black power side. The Black self-empowerment people sometimes throw away the race and just say, you know, it's about me and my advancement and my spirituality and my metaphysics and my thoughts and my ideas, and they just kind of throw it away by default. And sometimes your Black power people or purely Black nationalists, Black Pan-Africanists throw away how they could develop as an individual in order to be more effective in the ultimate quest for power for us as a race. So my point here tonight is that we need both. But these distinctions will help us, because the whole DVD movement, what you see going on in Harlem on 125th Street, is more Black self-empowerment. I'm trying to get as much knowledge as I can get. I'm trying to see, with Black self-empowerment, you can debate somebody else because it's about how much knowledge you have as an individual. So you can be competitive when it comes to Black self-empowerment. But when it comes to Black power for us as a whole, it's non-competitive, because it's about how we're evolving and how we're progressing as a race as a whole. So the whole DVD ministry and everything you see going in Harlem is more Black self-empowerment. Let me get this information, get these ideas, learn about sovereignty, learn about UCC, get the money. Let me crack the codes to find out what I can do as an individual. And the quest for one's own empowerment as an individual is their main priority. Everything else is on the back burner. See, you can get self-empowerment through capitalism, because you can gain a lot of money and fly around the world, go to Egypt. You can get some self-empowerment through capitalism. But as a race, we will never gain Black power through capitalism. It's impossible. You can gain self-empowerment through metaphysics and information and studying and all that. You can gain a certain level of self-empowerment through occultism, but that doesn't guarantee us power as a people. And that depends on how you apply self-empowerment. Because you can apply self-empowerment in a way that's going to benefit the masses of the Black people. You can train yourself up, build yourself up, get all the knowledge you can, and completely and contribute that to the overall progress of the race. Or you can utilize that yourself to become a millionaire, billionaire, and who gives a fuck about anybody else? Michael Jordan has self-empowerment. He sold his Jordans. He's making $1 million. He's really progressed as a Black human being. And in his progression, even though his shoe business is quite exploitive, we still can take from his example of self-empowerment in order to achieve progress within our own lives. That model is there for all individuals. But if individuals choose not to take that model, it doesn't do anything for us as the masses of the people. because that's not his objective. While what he is reflective of black self-empowerment, his objective is not black power for black people. Follow me with that. So there's a lot of black empowered people and self-empowered people in the conscious community. There's a lot of them, but most of them are fundamentally and essentially not truly about black power. They're about how many times they can go to Egypt and how many hieroglyphs they know and how much Medu Neter they know and how much, it's very much about their own empowerment, and what they're pushing to you is black self-empowerment. That's what they're selling to you. Buy my DVDs and buy my books and all this so that you can be self-empowered. They're not bringing anything to the table, and they're not calling for the mobilization or the mass action or mass activity, or even trying to massively influence people in a way that would be meaningful right now in society, politically, socially. And nowhere are they doing that. Most of the times they don't even address or really want to deal with any real issues of what's going on in the world until after some resolution has happened. You hear that with the Empress Sekhmet thing of her being released from jail on bond, and her going through everything that she went through with the statements that she made, which were reflective of more black power than black self-empowerment. Of course, her self-empowerment got her to a level to be willing to even make those statements as she did. And she's very empowered with a lot of things that she is doing with her own businesses and in her own life. She's very empowered as a black woman. So she even sacrificed what she's gained through some of her own empowerment in order to make the radical statements that she made. So she kind of touched both areas. Self-empowered black woman who chooses to stand up and represent black power. Everybody that's black self-empowered does not choose to stand up and represent black power. This is a fact. It's a rare occasion. It happens every now and then, like an eclipse. But she did not become relevant. The conscious community, KTL Radio, Sonetta, the Pills, they didn't talk about her when she was in the belly of the beast. They didn't speak truth to power. They didn't make one statement. She was all over the media, all that. They did not make one statement until she was released on bond. They had nothing to say to the powers that be, to the devil, to the system, until she was released. Now they want to interview her and bring her down to 125th Street after she has been released and ended up on Megyn Kelly on Fox News. You find that interesting. So they don't even speak on issues, not in the heat of them where people can be mobilized to address the situations that are at hand. They speak on them afterwards because they don't want to deal really with what black power really is. They don't really want to step in or stand in that. But they talk black self-empowerment all day long. You can be a self-empowered black person under white supremacy. Listen. You can be empowered to take your ass to work and get as much money as you can. You can be empowered to become a CEO of a corporation. You can be empowered to have a Fortune 500 company. Right? You can be empowered, black empowered to be on the Forbes list. You can be black empowered like Ben Carson to run for president of this white corporation we call the United States, and Obama, and likewise. They're self-empowered, but they don't represent black power. And a lot of people use the black conscious community to become self-empowered, but they give that black self-empowerment over to white supremacy. There is a difference between self-empowerment and collective empowerment for us as a people. There's a difference. I mean, that you can study information, get conscious, get deep, change your diet, change your lifestyle, and all that, and become a healthy and become a better person, and you can take that and contribute it all over to white supremacy. The difference between black self-empowerment and black power is that you take that ability and that development and that progress and that insight and that wisdom, and you contribute it over for the transformation and the liberation of your people. You don't give a goddamn about the white man and his world and his society. You want nothing from it. You don't want fame. You don't want popularity. You don't want money. You don't want nothing that means nothing in a world of white supremacy. You only want to contribute yourself to the total upliftment and empowerment of black people. You got a lot of people who became black self-empowered through the conscious community. And when they realize that, wait a minute, I can have power as a person, now they can go and be a super coon. They can be the coon that they was unable to be before they became self-empowered. They went from just a regular ordinary coon to now a super goddamn coon. And they're empowered in their coonism, and they're a marvel to watch them at work. We've become very self-empowered. But if we're not empowered to create and cause revolution, then we're not doing nothing but fueling white supremacy. We're not doing but fueling the white man's world. And it's not the highest level of empowerment, because the highest level of empowerment will lead you to effective black power, which is truly and ultimately black supremacy, which is ultimately black rulership. But a lot of times they don't get to effective black power. They just get to climbing the ladder to be higher on the pyramid of white supremacy. A lot of self-empowerment, changing my diet, doing better, becoming better as a person. But our race is not changing. I'll just give you an example. Within the conscious community, we got thousands of Harus, thousands of Hoteps, thousands of Isises, thousands of Osirises. But look at the condition of our race. How can a race with so many black self-empowered people, so many kings, so many queens, so many gods, so many goddesses, so many empresses, how can we have so many? We got more kings in the black conscious community than we had in Egypt in both dynasties. In Upper and Lower Egypt and Nubia and Kemet, we got more kings in the conscious community than was in Egypt. And look at the condition that we have as a people. Because we got black self-empowerment, but we don't have black power as a people. And we've confused the two and made one more significant than another. I would say that the crackers are not as self-empowered as black people are within the so-called conscious community. I think we're more empowered than a white man. But with little empowerment, he can do more with collective power than we can do with scattered black self-empowerment. We got scattered black self-empowerment. We got every man for themselves. And we got some phenomenal men for themselves. We got some supernatural men for themselves. And even that is not enough for the collective power of white supremacy, the forces of white supremacy. What am I saying? This black self-empowerment movement has really gone too far. And we're not balancing it and making it meiotic to really harness, achieve true black power as a people. Because once we have black power as a people, once that is manifested, the condition of our people will change. The condition of our community will change. It won't just be one conscious nigga on the block. The block itself will become a representative and a representation of the power that we possess as a people. Our defense, our militancy will be obvious. Sovereignty is not going to come from black self-empowerment. It will come from when those are self-empowered, are able to work together in a way that will become the manifestation and the embodiment of black power. Where we're not just another so-called conscious Negro and just another woke up, another intellectual Negro, but we are a sea of powerful ways with the ability to destroy anything that comes at what we are doing as a people. The Jews don't have the type of self-empowerment that we have within the black conscious community. You will not find a community of people with more gods, goddesses, kings, and queens. You won't find it. Because we do have great level of self-empowerment. We're taught this in schools. In Black History Month, we do have a certain amount of self-pride as a people. We got it. But it's not adding up into Black power. Empowerment is going to be important because of people that have been enslaved for 400 years and taught to be other than themselves and suppressed and depressed and repressed. They're going to have to go through a stage where they are empowered. So I don't want to belittle that or not act as though I don't see the necessity of that. But you can't get stuck in empowerment. Your empowerment must lead you to being an empowered contribution to Black collective power. If it's not, it will turn into masturbation. It will turn into egotistical masturbation. From self-realization to selfishness. It will become counterproductive. And it will only work for you being a super Negro in the matrix for the white man. Because the white man appreciates Black self-empowerment. Because he knows what Negro is going to do the job, what Negro believes in themselves. To me, if you ask me, the Nation of Islam has produced a lot of Black self-empowered Negroes. They are very self-empowered. Corporate America can depend on them to do their job. They're efficient security guards for the music industry. They are very dependable, and their level of self-respect and dignity makes them perfect employees. That's due to Black self-empowerment. But Black power, once your empowerment works for Black power, that turns you into a dangerous Negro against the system. When you have the combination of the desire for Black and you have Black self-empowerment, when you have both of them, that's when you are a dangerous Negro. Because now all this skills, all this knowledge, all this metaphysics, all this voodoo, all this dignity, all this pride, all this enlightenment, all this knowledge, all this energy, all this awareness, all the skills, the abilities, all of this can now be utilized specifically and totally for the purpose of Black power. Right now, we can't say these people within the Black conscious community are doing it for that reason. They get self-empowerment to become better citizens. They get self-empowerment, Black self-empowerment, to become better spokes in the wheel of white supremacy. They went from just sagging their pants and just getting high and not really caring about nothing and not being lazy and this, that, and the other to being a perfect goddamn employee. Perfect revolutionary. So they cleaned themselves up to be more presentable to the enemy and to be more effective within his reality. And they empowered in it. You can't deny that they have the self-empowerment. You cannot deny it. You know the difference when you see a Negro with self-empowerment and one that does not have it. The only difference is he might, if he's really feeling good one day, he just might wear a dashiki to work. There's a difference between Black power and Black self-empowerment, and I'm telling you, the conscious community is the difference. It's too much self-empowerment and not enough Black power. There's always been self-empowered Negroes. Madam C.J. Walker, S.B. Fuller, since the beginning of time, there's been Negroes that's been empowered to do some shit in this society. They've been a step above others in the power that they realized they had as an individual. That's not a new phenomenon. Farrakhan is self-empowered. But when this empowerment is applied to the collective, the transformation, solely to the transformation of the collective condition of Black people, then it becomes an element of Black power. It becomes the reality of Black power. We own real estate, we own property, we got money. Some of us speak 50 different languages. We know 5 or 6 different martial arts styles. We can go days without eating. We're empowered. All our chakras was lit up. We know all the breathing exercises, half the yoga. We're empowered. We know different religions, and we so knowledgeable and cultured that we can be a Muslim today if we want to, and we could be a damn Hebrew tomorrow, and walk the line, walk it perfectly based on the amount of knowledge that we have. Let's be honest. We could be at 5% of the day in the Moorish Science Temple of America next week perfectly, because our knowledge base is that strong. We're that well studied and that well enlightened to that capacity. We are self-empowered. We're informed, thoroughly researched. We can heal with Chinese medicine. We can heal with Ayurvedic medicine. We can use we can switch up, use Native American medicine. We can even switch up, and we even know the pharmaceutical applications within white supremacy. We're empowered. Got knowledge, got the information. But the question is, when is it applied specifically and uniquely and distinctively to the collective transformation of our people? That's when it becomes Black power. Before that, it is nothing but just another empowered person. And we call it black self-empowerment, but to be honest with you, self-empowerment is beyond race. There's nothing nationalistic about self-empowerment to some capacity. There's Black self-empowerment because we know our history. We know we're from Kemet. We know who we are culturally, historically, tribally. So there's a Black element of Black power, but then there's an element of self-empowerment that has nothing to do with race, where you or I can walk into the self-help section of the bookstore and we can empower ourselves the same way the white man can. There's a metaphysical section that has no respect to race. There's ritual spiritualities, dietary systems, meditation systems, martial arts systems that are not respective of race, that we can empower with them. And they're just about self-empowerment, but just because we do them, we become Black self-empowerment because we happen to be Black and we're doing it. We're taking on the path of self-empowerment. So it becomes Black self-empowerment. But many have confused that as Black power, where their self-empowerment actually conflicts with us attaining power as a collective. What us containing power as a collective is actually invasive or conflictual with their own desire for unlimited self-empowerment.